Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver. My mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today we're gonna dive into the next session of our mega sample tea experience, and today we're gonna try the Henta Saemidori Sencha. So this is a 28 pack of 21 leaf teas and 7 matchas. And here we have the beauty we will try today, the Henta Saemidori Sencha. So this is actually a sencha which is also deep steamed. So for the ones who haven't seen the other videos, this is actually a longer steaming process when the tea is harvested. Right after harvest, it has to be in a steam bath, or if you're more in the Chinese section, then often it's pan fried. But in Japan, you often have the steam bath, and this is a longer steam bath. Coming from the south, this tea is a tea from Mr. Henta. So Mr. Henta is a farmer we could meet in 2 years ago when we visited Japan. He's actually a farmer which has a very broad variety of different cultivars, so-called tea varietals. So there we could really experience and taste with him all different kinds of teas, and he showed us the different notes of, for example, an Okumidori, of a Samidori, Asanoka, Yabukita. So we could really experience the full flavor of different of his whole tea garden as well. So today this is the Saemidori Sencha. So it's a single cultivar tea, so a single tea varietal tea, only coming from one varietal. And we're gonna dive a little bit into what Saemidori is. Maybe you have a slight background of the Japanese green tea, or how Japanese green tea actually evolved over time. And often in Japan, crossbreeds are done. This means that they bring together two different varietals, create a new one out of it, just to either push a certain tea varietal in a certain direction, or just to create a completely new tea. The Saemidori is actually a crossbreed of the famous Yabukita. So Yabukita, the most famous tea cultivar in Japan, around 70% of all teas made in Japan is Yabukita, and the Asatsuyu. Asatsuyu is actually a great cultivar, which is said that it is very close to a Gyokuro if it's a sencha. So it's a most Gyokuro-like sencha. But the problem about the Asatsuyu is mainly for the farmer. It has a low yield and it is very frost sensitive. So what they did is they crossed the Yabukita, which is a frost resistant cultivar, with the Asatsuyu, and they created the Saemidori. The Saemidori has then been registered as the cultivar or the tea varietal number 40 in Japan in 1969, and is known under the name as clear green. Or if you take Saemidori and you translate it, you go to the word, or you go to the expression clear green. So the Saemidori is to be expected thanks to the Asatsuyu, which is very Gyokuro-like. So there we are more in a sweet, smooth, umami strong section, with the Yabukita, which is a nice grassy note as well. So the Saemidori doesn't take over all the taste or the flavor profile of the Asatsuyu, but it is still a very sweet and very smooth cultivar. So this tea is mainly smooth and sweet, but let's have a look at it, because this tea even has a different process done by Mr. Henta. Et voila. Good, so these are 5 grams of this tea. So don't be surprised, also this tea quite brittle. So you can see that this tea has very beautiful dark leaves, and you can see that it is a little bit brittle, and this is a very typical outcome of the deep steaming process. But you can see that the leaves can be also quite of a certain size. It is said that the Saemidori has actually quite a similar leaf, or quite a similar yield, while the Asatsuyu, for example, has smaller leaves and a smaller yield. So there you're really on the level or close to the level of a Yabukita. But it has to be known that also the Saemidori still has a little bit of a frost is a little bit delicate when you talk about frost. For example, when we visited our farmer, Mr. Masuda, there we visited Saemidori field, and they had to protect it from the wind, and it was actually the local or the kind of a warmer area of the tea field in Shizuoka. Shizuoka known to be 97% only Yabukita tea region, due to the fact that Shizuoka is a little bit more in the north, around 2 hours south from Tokyo, so quite in the upper part of the tea planting area in Japan in general. And here with Mr. Henta, we are in Kirishima. So Kirishima is on Kyushu, so on the very south, and also it is said that this is the area where you can find the most Samidori to be planted, because it's just a milder climate, because it's a warmer climate, and it is easier to grow for the farmers, or for the farmers to grow this tea varietal. Good. So this tea shaded by Mr. Henta for 7 days. Shaded means that it is covered by a so-called kabuse. Often today these are nylon nets. In the early times these were rice mats, and this tea here 7 days shaded, and that's why I'm expecting, not only thanks to the fact that it is a Samidori, a very sweet tea, but especially the shading will add an additional sweetness, and the fukamushi, so the deep steaming, will add an additional layer of sweetness. So I expect quite a strong umami, savory, smooth, sweet flavor profile Sencha, a little bit of grassiness, a little bit of the spinachy tones, but not too much. What I will use is water, which I preheat. I went a little bit up today, so normally I do this tea at 140 Fahrenheit, so around 60 degrees Celsius. Today I went up to 155, so 70 degrees Celsius. Good. So we use around 5 ounces, so 150 milliliters of water. What I used, what I didn't show you, is that for the fukamushi, it is always good to use a tea pot which is actually has built a round strainer. So this is a 360 degree metal mesh which is around. So the good thing about it is that the mesh creates a little bit of space to the teapot, and then this space allows the water to go out, because the fukamushi can clog a little bit the teapot due to the fine particles of the tea itself. You will have also particles in your tea, which is very good, because then you drink a little bit more of the tea leaf, like when you're drinking matcha. But what can happen with the normal clay filter, which are quite small filters also, and then it can clog and the water can stay inside, and you can overbrew your tea. So now I talked nearly too long. Normally for a fukamushi you can even go to 45 seconds. Now I'm a little bit above 1 minute. And you can see, very easy to bring it out with this teapot. Just try to get all the drops. These are the most flavor intense drops, so try to get them out to have the full flavor of your tea. And then I will show you the leaves, so you could see how dark they were before. Now it starts to be a little bit greener. This is just due to the fact that they're now once brewed, but still you can see that the tea leaves are quite small. They're still opening up. First brewing always showing kind of first initial opening of the tea leaves, and then after three brewings they will be completely open. Good. So then let's go now into the tasting of this first brewing. When we smell at the leaves, to get quite a sweet aroma, so this is typical for the Samidori. I get a lot of banana peel, I get a little bit of a nutty flavor as well. Walnut I get a little bit. And a little bit of this typical sweet corn flavor profile. This is often when the tea is richly shaded or rich in umami, then you often get a little bit this sweet corn flavor profile. This is typical, but additionally to it, I get a little bit of banana peel and a little bit of a nutty flavor. So now I'm curious about the tea itself and the taste of the first brewing. So let's go into it. Very sweet. I get a lot of peach. Very soft. So the tea really wanders into the direction of stone fruit, clearly smooth, sweet, no astringency, no citrusy, nothing. There's a slight hint of the banana peel, but the banana peel kind of brings a little bit the sugary sweetness. And this I don't have. It's really a smooth, fine sweetness. I was expecting a little bit of a stronger umami flavor profile with this one here, but it stays very on the stone fruity side. So I've got a lot of peach. Peach is for me the predominant taste profile. Maybe a little bit of apricot. But it's very smooth, very sweet. It's a tea which I personally like a lot. It is not that heavy. For example, when you're drinking an okomidori, which is a little bit of a rounder, okomidori is my favorite, to be honest to you. But the okomidori has really this round, it gives a little bit of this density to the liquor, so very, very kind of smooth and dense, but there's a little bit of a kind of a heaviness with it, which is just very, very nice in terms of when you're looking for just a strong, bold and a character strong tea, then the okomidori is great. With the Saemidori, you always get this dancing light sweetness with the tea, and this is what I personally like about the Saemidori. It's just, there is, when you drink it, it's also when you have it in the matcha, so you have an okomidori matcha or you have a Saemidori, there's just this tiptoeing, this lighter kind of feather light sweetness with it. Here I get it a lot with the peach, a little bit with the apricot, so it's not a heavy sugary sweetness with banana peel, but definitely staying more around this this sweetness of kind of a this stone fruit, like I said before, the peach. Good. As I said, very smooth, very sweet. There's a little bit of a fresh character, slight kind of a slight, nearly cucumbery freshness, but it's very, very, very soft. So we predominantly definitely have the stone fruit. Now let's go to the second brewing. And now you see how the color changed. So this is now typical. This is often the second brewing. I expect it also to be a little bit more on the spinachy side. Second brewing now. Yeah, definitely more kind of a little bit of a grassy hay note, a little bit of a cereal note I get. And less strong notes of this sweetness. I get less of the sweet corn. So typical in the second brewing that the leaves also are now bigger. You can see that they really got bigger, and they will open up latest with the third brewing. They're still a little bit closed, some of them, and some of them are already entirely open. So let's have a look at it. As you can see, beautiful, kind of an intense green. So it moves away from this typical stone fruit peachy side, and it moves gives a little bit more of a kind of this greenness, freshness coming in. So I get much more of a it's still kind of a sweetness, so it's not typical kind of green spinachy flavor profile, but it is a kind of a round of an edamame. So edamame has a little bit this green side, but also has this beautiful sweetness with it. And this is what I get a lot with this second brewing. But still smooth, still sweet, still light, but much more dominant, kind of dominated by this sweet edamame note. It's much more refreshing. I often like the second brewing better of the Fukamushi than the first one. The first one is very sweet, light, smooth. And in the second brewing there comes a little bit more of body, a little bit more of variety, because you got not only to the sweet note, or you not only have the sweet note, but it adds to it a little bit of a spinachy, a little bit of a more greener note to it, and makes the tea just more interesting in my opinion, because it's just broader in its taste profile. Good, so I want to make the third one. So you saw this, I didn't explain before, 20 seconds only the second brewing, so this is more than enough. Good. I think we got everything. Also here you see beautiful green, very, very intense. Wow, so now we are in the third brewing, and again we have more sweetness, but now the sweetness becomes more intense in its sugary note and less kind of smooth, kind of stone fruit or this peachy side, this smooth. There's much more of a sugary tone with it. Now it reminds me, I don't know if you ever had a cane sugar, a fresh cane sugar. When you bite into it, you have this, it is intense sweet, but there's kind of this sweet, light, sugary sweetness, and it's still kind of refreshing. This I get now with the third brewing. This kind of edamame flavor is a little bit away, so the sweetness is definitely more intense again. So this tea really comes from a kind of a stone fruit sweetness, this light, smooth sweetness, very tender sweetness, not a lot of a vegetal kind of a green or edamame flavor. In the second brewing you get much more of this edamame flavor, and in the third it's like a lighter sweetness, and the edamame flavor is also kind of weaker. So then in the end it kind of moves nearly in a sugary note. So all in all, the Saemidori is known to be a very sweet and very beautiful soft tea. It's lighter in its sweetness, not as heavy as, for example, the Okumidori, so not as full-bodied either, but it is a very beautiful taste of the tea itself, because it has this nice lightness to it. Good. Okay, so this was the presentation of this tea. I hope you like this one here, and if you have a question, please feel free to leave a comment below. We try to answer all the questions. And if you have any doubt or anything you would like to ask us, please do so. We are reachable on Instagram, Facebook, or also here in the comments. Thanks a lot. See you and bye-bye.